Here is Specter the Unchained. Wait, why didn't she die? You might think the title of this video is clickbait. And it is. This technically isn't my Spalter, it's actually my friend Taxis who wailed for her very hard and he graciously lent me his CN account so I can test all the cool new operators, but for the sake of this video, this is my M9'd 6 Spalter now. And as a person with M9'd 6 Spalter trademark copyright patent pending, let me explain what makes her absolutely glorious. You want me to taste test your newest pizzas? Well, last time I almost died from contamination, so I think I'll pass. I mean, if you passed your recent inspection checks, then I guess I'm down. Specalter is a dollkeeper specialist, which means that when her original form reaches 0 HP, she switches to her doll form. The doll innately has 0 block, so only enemies with ranged attacks can attack it. If the doll reaches 0 HP, Specalter dies, but if the skill bar reaches 0 before the doll dies, it'll turn back into the original form. This takes around 20 seconds, and the original form doesn't generate SP if the doll is out. On top of only being able to be targeted by ranged attacks, the substitute has a substantial amount of HP, so it's very unlikely that Specalter will be dying anytime soon. The doll switching mechanic also has a lot of technical things you can abuse. Elemental damage will carry over from the original form to the doll form, but other things won't. Take for example status effects like chill and freeze. When Spalter switches to her sub, wow, she's unfrozen. Debuffs like attack or defense down also don't carry over when swapping forms. Here's some defense down from the Brawler Crux, and when the original form dies, no more defense debuff. Ignoring statuses and debuffs is awesome, but doll keepers also have iframes when switching from doll to original form. This can be used to bait the initial attack of an enemy or reset the attack interval of a slow attacker like Patriot. The main issue with doll keepers is that the doll doesn't regenerate SP, so their skills end up having longer cooldowns than the actual SP cost if they switch to their sub. Even worse, if the original form is dieted with full SP, when they switch back, you get no refunds. It doesn't happen very often that you have Specalter at full bar and she just straight up, nah, never mind, on you, but you'll have to watch out if you're in these types of situations. Specalter's first talent makes her substitute inflict arts damage and movement speed reduction every second to all enemies in the 8 surrounding tiles. This talent is pretty good since the doll does more than just deal damage. Especially since the sub has 0 block, it can be a reliable source of AoE slow since the sub is a lot less likely to die. It's a very nice talent, but there's nothing too special about it. Yet. Her second talent increases the HP of all Abyssal Hunters by a lot when she's in the squad. 20% makes Specalter's HP comparable to Protector Defenders, reaching almost 4000 HP, and it also gives her substitute more health too. It's basically come to a point where she's almost unkillable because of her massive HP pool on the doll on top of having 0 block. This talent can be especially nasty when combined with the other Abyssal Hunter talents, such as Gladia's damage reduction mod that'll come later. Specter the Unchained's first skill, Techniques of Survival, exchanges max HP percentages with a nearby ally in the 8 surrounding tiles. The HP swap prioritizes the lowest max HP percent, and this skill also increases her attack by a lot. Because Specalter is practically immortal, this skill can be used to save an ally who's just about to die. Specter can swap HP bars, and it's not that much of a problem if she dies and switches to her sub, because she'll just come back again. Alternatively, it has some funny shenanigans with Suitor, extending the life support on Lave the Teen Woman. At M3, Spalter's attack increases to 2000, which is a lot, and the skill lasts for 25 seconds, though you might not be able to make much use of this attack since the original form will likely be gone from the HP swapping. The skill has a funny niche that's pretty interesting, but overall it's not really her main skill. Spalter's second skill, Thirst for Survival, increases her attack and attack speed by a lot. Just like Guard Specter's second skill, it prevents her from dying during this skill, but instead of the stun that Guard Specter has after the skill duration is over, Spalter will switch to her sub. At M3, the skill only takes 10 SP before you can immediately activate it on Helidrop, which is pretty useful. The attack and attack speed increase is actually pretty nasty though, with Spalter's new attack interval only taking 0.8 seconds per attack and having an attack stat that reaches over 2000. She can shred high defense enemies with ease, though it's a bit uncanny to see Specter only do single target damage instead of AoE. The skill has relatively high uptime of 20 seconds for an undying skill, so Specter is guaranteed to get all that damage in instead of swapping prematurely and wasting some of the skill duration. It also forces her to switch to her substitute at the end, which is not necessarily a bad thing. In certain moments, you might want the doll slower or its damage per second, so with this skill you can take advantage of Specter forcing her sub on the field. Pressure for Survival, which is her third skill, increases her attack interval and attack and doubles her HP. She'll attack enemies equal to her block count, which is only 2 for the original form. If she attacks an enemy with an HP percentage equal or higher than hers, Spalter will deal an additional hit of physical damage. If the enemy has a lower HP percentage than hers, she'll lose 3% of her max HP. Basically, what's happening here is that Spalter will try to make her HP match or go below the enemy's HP in order to get that additional hit. With this skill, her attack of 3.2 thousand soars above even Phase 1 Patriot's defense. She is definitely not sugarcoating that damage. Even though the attack is absolutely massive, the skill generally has slightly lower single target DPS compared to her second skill. It does however have higher total damage and multi-target, making it great for handling strong rushes of enemies. You'll really want to maximize Spalter's HP to get that extra hit of additional damage. She can reach almost 10,000 health with this skill active, which is obviously a lot, meaning she'll be able to take lots of hits, but it also doesn't work in her favor to get that conditional extra damage if she's too high above the enemy's HP, so the biggest trick to using this skill is activating it at the right HP mark. That's about it for her skills, but Specalter also has her first module that dropped with the event, as well as her second module that comes a few months later. Her first module, the X version, gives the substitute more attack. When module upgrades come out, the talent buffs for this mod boost the attack and movement speed reduction on the substitute even more. Spalter also gets some SP back when she switches from her doll form to her original form, which covers a pretty big weakness for the Dollkeeper branch. She gets some nice well-rounded stats from this too. Remember at the start of the video when I said that her doll talent is nothing too crazy? Well, now it is. This mod makes the talent so crazy that sometimes you just want Spalter to intentionally die so that doll can come out. The doll has more range than the original form and deals almost the same amount of damage, except it's AoE, so it's basically better. Being able to control when the doll comes out is a big part of this module, which is why it pairs extremely well with her second skill. Spalter's second module gives the substitute more HP. The talent upgrades increase the HP for all abyssals even further and gives them a lot of SP regen. Like, a lot of SP regen. There's the obvious synergy with the other abyssal hunters here, but the main use of this module is for the lower downtimes on Specter's third skill, making it come up almost 14 seconds faster. Since the uptime downtime ratio of the skill is practically 50-50, S3 is going to be up whenever you need it, so you don't really need to rely on that substitute for damage. The doll doesn't really benefit much from this module, getting only a decent HP increase, so Specalter's second skill isn't very viable with this mod. Because the mod's heavily synergized with her skills, I'd actually plan which skill you like using the most, then get the respective mod that pairs with it. I'd recommend getting S3M3 since that's usually her go-to skill for grinding everything down. Personally speaking, I'm going to M6 my Specalter and get stage 3 of the mod that makes her substitute cracked, since I'm more used to using skill 2. Even though the mods synergize with one skill over the others, remember that you're not forced to only use the skills that pair with the modules. This pizza actually looks pretty good. It's just pepperoni? Alright, well, time to take a bite. Hey, that actually wasn't too bad. Because Specalter deals a lot of damage and is almost unkillable, and Gladia deals a decent amount of damage and becomes almost unkillable with their module, when you combine the two and their Abyssal Hunter talents, you basically get immortal operators. In this WD-EX83 specialist only clear, Specter kinda just camps the blue box with her second skill. Any menacing enemy that comes by either gets shredded during the skill duration, or the doll comes out and they get prayed to death. The player here even takes advantage of the iframes from the substitute switching back, letting Specalter take a hit from the Imperial Striker. In this clear, by the man himself Safang, Specter is specifically placed by the Originium altar so that her health gets lowered and she gets that extra hit condition on her S3. She then dies to Patriot, but that's okay, since her doll reduces his movement speed enough for Gladia to get another skill in. Once Patriot reaches phase 2 and all the paratroopers start coming down, Spalter with her skill up just one-taps them, and when she switches to her sub, the doll prays everyone to death again. So yeah, she does a lot of damage and is used in a lot of categories. It's not uncommon to see her in Specialist Knights, Low Step, or Abyssal Hunter clears. Anyways, that's about it. What is this? I mean, I know pineapple pizza exists, but this is definitely not what I had in mind. I don't know how you expect me to eat this. You didn't even cut the pineapple. You want to show off your knife skills in front of the customers? Go ahead, I guess.